I try to do is to be able to balance my life in a whole. I'm just starting up life. I'm 30. I've achieved so much. But then here's where I said I was going to, I beg to differ was, someone said something about, I think, starting, I can't remember the question. It was one of her first questions that she answered. But basically, it was, when I was answering it in my head, I said to myself that as someone who is just starting life, as someone who is just trying to create a family, sometimes you need to take a pause. And that's where I am in my life. I have achieved so much at a young age that I'm at the point in my life that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to chill. I'm going to calm down. Like, there's so much to do. There are so many women out there who, let me give an example. I'm about to be a mom of 2. I homeschool my children. They are not going to school yet. My son, he's not going to school yet. I don't plan to take him to school soon. This is a choice, a decision that my husband and I made. Now, for someone who is an overachiever, I said, I've been in the US, sponsored by the US government. If they say, who is an ideal example of an achiever? Just call me, I'm that girl. However, imagine being on that pedestal, on that stage where everybody looks up to you in the NGO space. I've done NGO for 9 years. I was telling my husband yesterday that my board chair, I realized that every single time anybody calls him on any matter of NGO, now this is somebody who was a former Microsoft country manager, he's some big guy over there. But I realized that if I haven't gotten any call from him, at least 5 or 6 people would call me and say, oh, Chioma, there's something about my NGO. Mr. Chinere referred me to you. And then at the end of the conversation, I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to do for you? And they're like, I don't know, but he just said you're the right person for it. And one day I was talking to him and I laughed and I was like, Mr. Chinere, is it everybody that is doing NGO that you call to me? And he said, because there's no other person that I know that has the knowledge of NGOs as much as you do. And I'll give you a reason. There's a reason why I brought this up. Now, over time, he has realized that I've done this 9 years. I've done NGO business, so to speak, for 9 years. I've been able to establish myself. So with someone who has had that kind of recognition, deciding one day that, you know what, I'm not going to work. I will just sit down at home and take care of my children and take care of my family. If you like, pay me 1 million naira to come and speak for your event, I will not do. I'm in my mommy era, and that's what I want to do. Now, the reason I said this is because a lot of women can be we're too hard on ourselves, maybe. Maybe that's the word. It's kind of like, let's keep moving, let's keep hustling. When do I take a break? It's like the moment you think of, I'm trying to play this thing in my head because it makes sense in my head. So, as a career woman who is moving to the mommy era, I faced a lot of guilt, a lot of, how do I leave all the things I've built to decide to be a mommy and just stay at home and teach my child and just do mommy things? And for a year, in fact, it started last year when I went to the US, because you go for the fellowship, everybody expects so much of you. You're coming back, you're doing projects. You know, everybody in my cohort, 57 of us Nigerians and other Africans, supposedly the brightest minds in Africa, you know, and you're seeing one project or the other. And then you are just like, I want to do it, but I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm ready to do all these things. Really, all I want to do is to just be a mom. And the reason I'm saying this is because we can be too hard on ourselves. I always say, remember that there are times and seasons. Everybody is chasing something, but whatever you're chasing might not be the other thing that somebody else is chasing. I've chased when my people were sleeping. And if I tried to chase more, I would only be killing myself. I even laugh about my pregnancy, and let me just give it. My husband and I, we did not expect to have this second baby. And when it came, at some point, I had to tell myself, I was like, maybe this is God trying to ground me. Maybe this is God trying to tell me that, Chioma, this is your mommy time, so just sit down. You are not ready for that next thing that you believe that you're, stop pushing yourself. I had a beautiful conference this year. I had plans. Nayan is here. She's one of my team members. This year, we already had like a calendar of all the things we will do for the next 1 year. And she calls me last month and says, oh, Choma, what else again? And I'm like, nah, please, I'm not doing anything. You people, however you want to do it, figure it out without me. But as you see me, I'm in my mommy era. And those are some of the things, if you're going to be building your well-being. Number one, staying true to yourself, removing comparisons. What is it that I can do at this time that I am in? If you cannot do, forget people and just do you. And tell yourself the truth and come to terms with it. I think it's just coming to the truthfulness of yourself and coming to terms with yourself that, you know what, I'm not going to look at anybody. I'm just going to be in my own era, by myself, in my own self. And it comes to marriage. I know that mommy is going to talk about marriage and relationships. You look at your friends, all your friends are getting married. Hey, me, I'm not getting married. But have you worked on yourself enough to know that you are ready for marriage? I always say to myself that God brought my husband. We didn't date. We dated for a month. He proposed in a month. We met December. By early January, in 4 months, we were married. Yes, very interesting love story. We met at the photo shoot of one of the awards, and that was how we met. And already he knew that. In fact, when he met me, the first thing I asked him, I was like, "Please, what are we doing? I'm not here to be doing. What's your favorite color? Where is this leading to? Because if it's not leading anywhere, please just leave me. I have plans for myself." And he came back the next day and says he wants to get married to me. Interesting story. That's another place. But you cannot be Chioma. Everybody cannot be Chioma. Everybody cannot meet a man and the next day the man will tell you that it's you that he wants to marry. We're 3 years into marriage, going to our 4th year. Yes. So, so for me, it's number one, removing limiting beliefs. A lot of us, we do the I should thing. I should be doing this by now. I should have been married by now. I should have started a business by now. I should be giving birth by now. I should be. But first of all, are you ready? First of all, is your God even ready for you to have that yet? When I talk about marriage, the year that I got married was a very interesting year, 2020. I had dated, you know when they say you've seen the princes of Persia? I'm a Lagos girl. I have navigated in relationship, should I say, relationship pool. You know, I've been broken to the extent that I'm like, what is this? Like, what? I don't understand. Are there any good people out there? What's in the streets? But I remember that year, when I chose to work on myself, 2020, I always say is my self-discovery year. It was the year that I got tired of trying to be everything for everybody. And finally, what is Chioma for herself? I fought my demons. In fact, I don't know if there's any self-work that I did not do that year. But then I realized that, and God is a very interesting person. God is not a person. God is a very interesting God, because I always say that year, as much as I was trying, he also brought tests for me. And that's one thing God, I know we're not in a church setting, but God always does that. You say you're working on yourself. You say you're trying to start a business. You say you're trying to do this. He will watch you. Let me help this person. But then he will also throw in tests to see, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? And I remember that I had an engagement the year before. The engagement broke because I have a mental health issue. The following year when I was working on myself, I remember that I had like 2 people who had claimed they wanted to marry me. Typical Chioma is very used to, I love relationships, I want to be in love, I want to be with somebody. So I'm losing myself trying to be with other people. I realized that was my issue. And I was like, okay, this is something I have to work on. 2020, I decided to work on it. 2 times, I stopped dating. I said, you know what, anybody that I don't want. But then 2 times, I decided to take something seriously. The moment I realized that the same patterns that I had been going through before was showing itself again, the test was God now saying, will you let go, or will you keep holding on the way you normally hold on to? And immediately I saw it. I just detached. I was like, God, please, I'm not ready to cry. I'm not ready to be. I'm moving on. Typical me would be there, waiting, hoping, begging, crying, forgetting my worth. But I said, not this time. It happened twice. And you can't believe that after some months, the person that I needed to marry just walked. He just walked right through. In fact, I always say he walked into my life like nothing was happening. And that's really life. God tests us in very interesting ways, but then he wants to see, are we ready for the things that he's going to give us? Are we ready for the relationship? So if you're here, you're crying, you don't have a relationship, men are breaking your heart. Ask yourself the question too as well. Are you ready for that thing that God is ready to present to you? Are you wholesome enough to accept that thing? If you're crying that your business is not doing well, as a lot of the speakers said, are you credible enough? If they give you money, can you hold that money tightly? Can you do what you need the money to do for you? If whatever my English is. The next year, 2020, beautiful year, I got a grant too as well. God was just waiting for me. God wanted to see, is this girl ready? Is she ready for money? Is she ready for a relationship? As I was there, I love conversations like this because I have received a grant before, but the grant I received in 2020-2021 was the biggest grant any NGO has ever received in mental health. No NGO has even received. I received that. I received over £180,000 from the British Commission. Yeah. We're the first. I'm a young girl. I was only 20 what, holding that kind of money. And I had to do good work too as well. But I always say that the money came with a lot of tribulation because the people who brought it decided that they wanted 80% cuts from it. But then I told myself, I said, Chioma, if there's anything you've done, you've always been very accountable with money. My NGO grew because of people. And I wanted to say it when people were talking. Network. How did I get that grant? I went for an event 3 years ago where they were talking about mental health. And some people would ask questions and I'll stand up and answer. I didn't know that people were looking. A girl who was there who went to Covenant as well, we just followed each other, we're not friends. And one day, conversation came, who knows somebody in the mental health space? We want to give a grant. I said, oh, I know this girl, I've been following her. And that was how I got that grant. The grant was over 100 million naira. And that was how I got the grant. So for the person who said that, how can they get grants? Go out. You are not a tree. Leave your house. Stop staying inside your house and expecting that something will fall on top of your head. When you go out, network, meet people, talk. Talk. Because you don't know where you're opening your mouth and the things are happening to you. Write if you can. My first grant to the same thing. I had just started my NGO at 6 months and I was writing a blog about the things about the NGO. And somebody called me one day from South Africa. Oh, there's an Indian doctor. He's trying to come to Nigeria. We want you to do an award, $21,000. And I was like, I have never, ever had to do extra work, even though I'm doing the work. So I have never had to do extra work than what I'm doing. So for me, it's just I'm just trying to give examples. I know that I might be here or there. I didn't take a lot of, I hope that you people are just tying the pieces together somehow. But then, I think it's time for us to remove the limiting beliefs. I should be doing this. Right now, I'm in my mommy era. I should not be doing anything except what I'm doing now. My friends might be doing the best things ever. My friends might have given birth to 3 children. My friends might have built whatever it is. I am doing exactly what I should be doing at the time that I'm doing it. And that should go for everybody who is here as well. Another thing is emotions. I'm going to talk about emotions. I wanted to say that there are 4 pillars, 4 wellness pillars, which is the mind, body, soul, which is psychological. I'm just going to say it, sorry, let me just say it in the right way. The mind, which is your mental and psychological, your body, which is physical, your heart, which is emotional, and your spirit, which is obviously the essence of your being, whether it's God or whatever it is that you believe in. How many of us are feeding those things? How are you feeding them? What are the things that you're telling to those things? What are the activities that you're doing to fuel that? So if it is by going to church, are you going to church and believing in God the right way? Are you just following religion for religion's sake, or are you understanding God for who God is? Are you building your mental capacity by doing the right things, reading the right things, playing the right games? Because there are things, you say you're playing games, there are interesting games now, but are you doing things that are fueling your mind? Physically, are you eating right? Are you exercising, even if it is just to take a walk? What are you doing to fuel those 4 pillars of your life? If you're able to do that, and if you're able to balance it in such a way, then you're building your well-being accordingly. Emotions are energy in motion. I always say emotion, energy in motion. And a lot of us, most times, we're very used to repressing our emotions, but I want you to believe that emotions are meant to move. That's why they are called energy emotions. They are meant to be released. You feel them, you release. You feel them, you release. A lot of times, people are going through mental health issues because they keep holding on to everything. I'm suppressing it, I'm repressing it. Somebody did something to me. Oh, I'm going to keep it to heart. I remember I was telling someone, a friend of mine, she told me one day she had been angry with me for 2 years. She didn't even talk to me for 2 years because apparently she told me something and I did not react the way she expected me to react. And in my head, I'm like, did you ever count all the other goods I did? And you held for 2 years. In fact, it was so bad that her sister, who is my main friend, was doing her baby shower and she did not invite me. Her sister told her to invite me, but she didn't invite me because she was so angry at me. And I'm like, I lived 2 years of my life moving around and you were holding on to anger for 2 years. Only God knows the kind of physical illnesses you would have even developed from that because it's you that will fall sick. It's like you're taking medicine, you're taking poison and expecting somebody else to die. I was living my life and you held on to me for 2 years. Interesting. So for me, energies need to be removed, needs to be felt. Another thing is that a lot of people don't want to deal with their emotions. So say, for example, you lose someone. It's kind of, I'm just going to not think about it. Energy is to be felt. Feel it, but release it. Feel it, but release it. Remember that it always moves. I always tell myself, I'm going to cry, and after crying, I'm just going to let go. I will feel sad. After feeling sad, I'm going to let go. Whatever it is, however you feel that you can let go of your emotion, just allow it and let go. Don't suppress. Creating boundaries, I'm happy when she said it, because creating boundaries can come in very interesting ways. First of all, social media. You know that I always say there's an interesting energy exchange with social media. That sometimes I feel very anxious after just scrolling. No, I don't follow blogs. I don't have any blogs I follow because intentionally I decided I don't want to see the things that are happening. I'm not interested. But there are some times that I don't follow. If I start to feel a certain way about an account, I unfollow, I mute, I whatever. But there are some times that even those insistent scroll, you're just scrolling. Why are you scrolling? What are you looking for? Do you get? So a lot of us do that. So the only ways we can set boundaries is to be able to delete, block, mute. What am I seeing? What am I allowing my energy to feed on? What am I feeding my energy? What am I feeding into my energy? What am I giving my energy out? You have to be able to restrict that. And it also doesn't go alone with social media. Friendships, relationships. Which friend do I talk to that makes me feel uncomfortable? A lot of us have friends who are actually frenemies. We have friends who you see and you don't feel comfortable with it, but you keep that relationship so it will not be as if. I have a friend who I cut off recently and I was so unapologetic about it because that relationship, it had to end. It was like, I beg, please, we can't keep doing this. I can't keep acting like, I don't want to act. I want to be myself. I want to be okay with my relationship with you. I want to love you and you love me back, and I don't want to pretend a certain way. A lot of us keep relationships like that. And every time we do that, you're sucking your energy. You're draining. When you see the person, it's like, ah. But then, let's just, so that the person will not be angry. Man, the person will be fine. You'll be fine. Everybody will be fine. Like, just let it go. So, aside social media, let's also be very observant about the things we keep around us, the people, the places that we go to. Again, remember that everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything that you give gives back to as well. So, anything that you feel like you're feeding on that is not giving you what you need, sometimes it's good to just kind of, and it doesn't mean that we're quarreling. I see you, I say hi, but you're not just going to be priority. I love you, but I love you from afar. I always say too as well, so many of us, the concept of love, it's kind of like, the Bible says we should love our neighbors, you have to be kind, you forget to set boundaries. When they come, you're saying yes to everything. We forget the part of that Bible verse that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That remaining part. So you have to be able to love yourself before you can love your neighbor. And you have to love yourself fully to be able to give what you're giving your neighbor. Because if you cannot love yourself, there is no way you want to love your neighbor. In fact, you're even doing yourself a disservice. You're cutting short from, it's the same thing. Why are you pouring from an empty cup? You're pouring from, you don't have, and yet you are giving. What will remain? What will remain of you? So you see that at the end of the day, you just keep taking away. mental health is not as, is, yes, there's the diagnostic part of which it is me having to go through medication and doctors. But a lot of work, even my therapist will tell me that a lot of work is still me. I go to therapy, my therapist is not telling me, Chioma, do this. The way therapy works is, why do you think you should? What do you think you should have done? So at the end of the day, you are the one answering all your questions by yourself. If you had done this, what do you think would be the expectation? You are still the one. So therapy is not anything that you think, oh, the therapist will tell you do this, do that. It's not, you are paying to answer your own questions. I pay my therapy every time is 25K, 30K, every session. I pay to answer the questions that normally I would have sat down by myself to answer, but I'm paying somebody to do the work for me. So with that, I'm really telling you guys that sometimes just all these things are easy things. I think it just starts with putting yourself first. What is the best thing for myself? How can I put myself first? How can I be kind to myself? When I sit down and reflect, the same love I want to give that boy that I love, the same love I want to give that friend that I will bend over backwards, am I giving that to myself? There are some of us that will carry our money, give it to our boyfriends. Every day you're crying. I tell you that you've just become waterworks. Any small thing, you're crying. That same love, have you even given yourself a quarter of it? If you're able to give yourself grace, you're able to give yourself compassion, you're able to love yourself just a little, even just a little bit as you love other people, your life will be different. And you would even radiate, you would glow, you'll be happy. Someone told me, a friend, this one too is also an interesting thing. A girl who I was dating abroad, my first relationship, that guy showed me paper, Jesus. My God, it was a very cantankerous relationship. And I remember getting married 1 year after I posted my traditional wedding. And the sister, I was friends with the siblings because we all went to secondary school together. I went to an all-girls school, so the sisters went to my school. And his junior sister messaged me and she was like, Chioma, I love the way you're glowing. Thank God you did not end up with my brother. And I was like, interesting. So they knew the kind of person I was dating. They knew who their brother was. And the reason I would say it is because at the end of the day, I chose to love myself, that the person who I'm with loves me enough and even more than whatever it is that I'm giving myself, if that makes any sense. I'm no more in a relationship where every day I'm crying. Like that relationship was, I cried every day. I'm teen, Abby. Imagine now seeing me half of this. That's how I was in that relationship. I was like, but then I'm thankful that at the end of the day, we changed and we became better and we knew better. And I'm really pleading that everybody who is listening to me, choose yourself first. Choose yourself first. Mental health illnesses, whatever it is, I've stopped medication. I stopped medication last year, December, not because I'm better. Bipolar is a lifelong illness, right? But however, I am doing the right things to be able to maintain me so that I don't have to use medications. Do you understand? So typically when it gets very bad, I have to use medications. But the moment you're living very beautiful lifestyle, you're able to do the right things, you don't need medication. You just need to keep living your life according to the best way possible. And you'll see that immediately any emotion comes, how do I manage the emotion? Thankfully, I'm married to somebody who understands. I realize that when I'm having an outbreak, the next thing I'm having triggers, the next thing my husband just comes and holds me and hugs me for like 5 minutes. Before you know it, that sadness or anger will just disappear and it will go. So he has also learned as a partner to be kind to me as well because I'm also giving myself kindness. He can see that I want to change. He can see that I want to be better. It doesn't mean that once in a while, triggers. I was in the psychiatric hospital for like 5 days after I gave birth. Things like that, stressors of life. I just gave birth. I became a new mom. I wasn't lactating. It was a lot for me. So things like that, obviously, at that point, they are not things that I can manage. I cannot manage the fact that I'm not lactating. I can't manage the fact that I have a new child. So things like that, obviously, is easy to send someone who is already living with a mental health issue to the doctors. But then on a normal day, how am I living? What am I eating? How am I exercising? What am I saying? Who am I relating to? Am I saying yes to every engagement? Now I unapologetically say no. In fact, now I charge. I've gotten events for over ₦1 million. Believe it or not. People call me and they will pay me ₦1 million to talk. And I'm like, the moment you invite me, assistant, what is this thing? If I feel like doing it for free, fine. If I don't feel like doing it for free, but I don't feel obligated, like I'm not going to bend over backwards for anything as long as it doesn't feel right for me. And I feel like people should start living their life truly for what they want to do and not what everybody expects them to do. You will live longer. You'll be happy that you did. Anyway, I'm just going to do, because my time is going, I can see it. I have 39 seconds. One of the other things I like to say, relax, relax. Every day you are just moving. You are just, when mommy says she loves to listen to the video, she likes to relax. You're planning to live, you are 30 years, Abi. Maybe I plan to live the next 90 years, 100 years. I still have 60 more years to go. Like, Chioma, calm down. Where are you running to? Why are you running? Calm down. So I just want to tell people, drink water, calm down, relax, sleep if you want to. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that when it's time to work, you stand up and work. But then when it is also time to take a break, take a break. They are not doing first to achieve. They are not doing first to do things at your own pace and as well as you can. I like to teach people mindfulness. Mindfulness, I always say, is the act of being present. So many of us are always either at the past or in the future. What could have happened? I wish I didn't. I regret, or I cannot wait to. I want to. But what of now? Like, can we just be? So I always try to teach people how to breathe. I love it so much. I do this exercise every time. I'm sure mommy, she remembers when I had to speak in Dutch. I made the whole church. So I said, we will breathe today. You people cannot breathe. So today we are going to breathe. Do you know how to breathe? Eh? That's how they say yes. Now if I put mic in your mouth now, you will not do it. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys the proper way to relax before my time goes up. So typically, all of us, many of us, this is the way we breathe. From our chest, we take it out. We bring it back again. Chest. First of all, do you know that that's the wrong way to breathe? Biologically, you are not breathing right. No, I'm just telling you, you're not breathing correctly. The right way to breathe is to breathe in through our nose all the way to your diaphragm, your belly, here, and then breathe out. So you know that time when you're anxious and you actually, and then you take that, that's the right way. That's when blood actually circulates properly round. So today we are going to breathe. So even if you know all these things I've just been saying here and there, I've been talking nonsense, at least when you go home, you say, Chioma taught you how to breathe well. Okay, so even if you don't breathe from 24 hours, at least 10 minutes in a day, you sit down and you breathe properly. So I would like us to just close our eyes. We'll just do this breathing exercise and I would be gone. I would like us to close our eyes. Just take your normal deep breath. Just tell yourself that you have been doing it right, even though we know we've been doing nonsense since. So just remind yourself the nonsense you've been doing since. Breathing in and out. So I would like us to take just deep breaths all the way from our nose into our diaphragm. When you do it, you feel your diaphragm tightening. You feel your belly tightening. And just pause for a bit. And then exhale through your nose. Inhale again from your nose all the way to your diaphragm. Just pause for a bit. Exhale. Now, this time when we're doing it, I want us to exhale from our mouth. And when we're doing it from our mouth, I want you to put a sound to it so actually hear yourself breathe. So inhale from your nose. Tighten your diaphragm. Just pause for a few seconds. And when you exhale, exhale from your mouth. Let's do it again. Inhale in. Inhale. Exhale. So for the last time, whatever it is that you are holding on to, if you feel tightness in your body, you feel anger, frustration, whatever, I want you to just let out that feeling of dissatisfaction as you're letting out your air. I always say that when I'm breathing in positive, and when I'm letting out the negative energy. So this is you being mindful. Whatever it is that you're worried about, we're going to let it all out today. So I want you to just breathe in all the positivity, joy, happiness, peace, tranquility, everything, good health. Just breathe it in. Pause for a few seconds. And all the jedi, all the yama, everything that is in your stomach, all the anger, the frustration, we're going to let it out through our mouths. So 1, 2, red, go. Let's all let it out. All right, thank you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you very much, everyone.